Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today to talk about Professor Xavier, but more importantly, the Age of X progression and going through all the teams I successfully used to go through his entire epic campaign saga. Now, having said that, guys, I also just want to add a disclaimer here that no, I don't necessarily think that these are the only teams that you need to use. It's really here for reference, and as I'm going to go through each of these teams, I also want to talk about the mistakes that I made, things I wish I could have done differently, and hopefully that insight, hopefully that information's not only allowing you guys to be able to see what could have been, but as well help you best prepare in the coming weeks, coming months. Hopefully you guys are also able to get access to such a powerful mythic character, one of the best easily right now in the game, especially given that Annihilus is not yet available. So guys, he has been an absolute wrecking ball in Arena, and I feel like that's kind of where it's steering towards now. You basically need Fantastic Four to compete, and in addition, plus minus Xavier is going to give you that top 10, top 20 threshold in your Arena bracket. So let's get started, guys. Let's talk about all the teams I used as well as how you can best prepare. Remember, Gear Tier 20, I mean, you're getting some resources here and there from raids, but now that they've done a better job with these new intel slash antimatter stores, it's definitely been more available, and I've noticed they've been adding more Gear Tier 20 pieces in the way through the events as well. So always pay attention to that, guys. But remember, what is different with this epic campaign saga from past Dark Dimensions is that you actually need to ensure that you have a team that can go through it successfully, not just complete it, but you also need to make sure that you unlock the 3 stars completion. So for example, if I head over to the Gear Tier 20 city section, which is the first 5 nodes that require Gear Tier 20, you do have to complete all the nodes here at 3 stars, which means no one on your team can die. And then finally, you are actually able to unlock the next progression level, which in this case, following heroic is usually the extreme. And as you can see there, it's also city. So after this is all fully done, then it moves over into the next section, which in this case is the Shadow King section here. And that requires Gear Tier 20 global villains and so forth. So I'm just going to go under the assumption that you guys know all the different traits and whatnot, but we'll also talk about those teams as well as, again, things I wish I could have done differently. So starting first and foremost in the city section, I mean, it's hard for me to envision this section getting done without some sort of 3-piece of Vigilante. The reason being is because Vigilante raid bonuses are actually live when you have 3 members. So let me know down in the comments below if you guys know of a team that's not Vigilante that can get the job done. Maybe in the future when we have future city teams, this can be obviously added. But for me, you gotta have at least a combination here of at least Silver Sable with Daredevil Modern or Hitmonkey. And the other 2-piece that's been shining immensely for this section has been Blade as well as Oath. Now, having said that, there's also a lot of good city options. You don't necessarily need Oath and Blade. They're really kind of more of a luxury, in my honest opinion. But the 3-piece of Vigilante is what you want to focus on. Things I could have done differently. I wish I actually did not take up my Hitmonkey here because you could have actually saved additional skill gear resources here, which actually held me back a bit. So instead of Hitmonkey, you could bring in Punisher. I do like the mix of Daredevil and Silver Sable because Silver Sable is going to be your most important character for these nodes, and then Daredevil Modern does have the supplementation, the support, and obviously sustainability for the team. So I really like what he brought to the table, but I've also seen versions of this team where maybe it's Hitmonkey plus Silver Sable and then Punisher. Either way, Punisher is a great cheap investment, and he also gets the Vigilante tag that's going to give you the bonuses there. I've seen folks use Big Time Spider-Man as a cheap option for the city section as well. Again, I don't think Oath and Blade are must required, but just know that the 3-piece of Vigilantes is very important. Next up, we got global villains here, and really, I think there's a lot of good options here, but Orcus does shine immensely. Now, keep in mind, if you guys have been following my videos, you'll know that the tech team for the Orcus raids, for the Orcus team, respectively, for raids in the future, is very likely getting replaced in the coming months. So folks may not want to build up Orcus, but at the same time, they're still one of the best global villain teams in the game. Another strong consideration is Cabal, but just know that if you are going to be going down the Orcus route for this section, you may have to invest in quite a bit of tech gear. As you can see, I had to bring in 3 members, and obviously that adds up in tech, which means you're going to be skill and tech heavy for the first 2 sections of Age of X. So just something to be aware of. A big mistake I made here, guys, was actually bringing up my Apocalypse. He was, first and foremost, very expensive for mutant gear, and secondly, his usage and value has definitely gone down in the game as he's one of those pre-Ares characters, right? So going back, I think one of the best options you can bring into this section is Omega Red Phoenix Force. I mean, he just does a bit of everything. He's very devastating damage, and highly recommend his potency in War and Crucible. That is something I wish I could have done, but at the end of the day, what's said and done now is said and done. So that would be definitely something I would change just to save a bit on the mutant gear so you can progress further. Having said that, I also like my zombie Juggernaut option here because he was cheaper and he was a bit of bio gear, and as you can see, we didn't use a lot of bio gear yet, right? So that was a nice option. I did like that addition. I've seen some other Undying mixtures here as well, so just something food for thought, but I don't think Orcus is required. They definitely make things a little bit easier, but I do think Global Villains isn't a hard section, so there's a lot more options here, definitely, if you want to save time, and maybe if you want to allocate tech away from the focus here, right? So next section here is Global Heroes, guys. Now, very similar to the City section. I can't see it getting done without some sort of three-piece of Liberty. The Global Heroes section is arguably the hardest section of the entire Age of X saga. So having the three-piece is very important, guys. So obviously, for me, I think these three pieces are the newest characters are the best recommendations here. Their synergy, especially with Keen Falcon, guys. You'll know that his sustain is really much needed in the final node. Now, what makes this section very tricky, if you guys have seen my actual playthrough video, is that you're up against a massive Shadow King boss that clones your entire team. So that means if you have a strong team, they're going to get cloned and they're going to work against you because they also get added turn meter. Now that's why it's such a problematic issue. One of the best global hero characters is Old Man Logan. Another strong one could be Songbird. We've seen Ancient One. All of them will work against you. So those three right off the bat, highly unrecommended. But having said that, I've still seen folks getting it done with Ancient One. But remember, the three-piece of Liberty, or maybe if you want to do four-piece, very important. But obviously, there's going to be a little bit more emphasis then on the skill gear, depending on which route you go. Especially since Captain Sam is really good, but he can definitely make this easier, but I don't know if folks want to invest in a four-piece Liberty team just for Age of X Saga. Just something to be mindful of. For me personally, Jean Grey as well as Emma Frost, they both did their job, obviously both being mutant characters, and that's kind of where I felt the pressure and pinch from my Apocalypse investment. I was a little bit on a waiting pattern here because I needed that mutant gear to actually get up to this section. So that's another regret there, right? So it would have been less waiting time, so to speak. But what I do like about Liberty is that they do have a good mixture of the different traits. We have then sorry, that's a mistake right there. That shouldn't actually be my Astral team. We have Cosmic Villains next, guys, and do not recommend this team by any means, guys, but I'm just showing you, hey, this is how I got it done. So I brought in Shadow King, Null. These two characters, in my honest opinion, are the two most important characters for this section. And depending on if you bring on Thanos Endgame in addition to Gladiator or Gore, they'll definitely make things easier. I wanted to save on my bio gear because of the Fantastic Four release. So for that reason, that's why I brought in Mordo, and that's why I brought in Stitcher. There was a million resets. The RNG needed to be absolute perfect in order to ensure that I had the 3-star unlock there, guys. So would I recommend this team? No. But if you got time and you got patience and you want to try something that no other player has tried, this team, it works, guys. I have my gameplay video coming out actually very soon, so you'll see the full gameplay. But yes, this is the team that got it done for me, and they actually saved me an immense amount of bio gear because, as you can see, I didn't bring in Gladiator, I didn't bring in Gore, and at the same time too, we were able to save a bit on tech. I was also waiting on tech resources, so it was just nice. I didn't have to worry about it after this section because, as you can see, the last and final Global Hero section here doesn't require tech members. Now, having said that, guys, I've seen folks bring in Mephisto as well. Dormammu, they can definitely be options. Just know that they're more pricier and more expensive in Mystic Gear, and whatever you do with the Mystic Gear, it may translate to your future last node section here being the Cosmic Heroes. Now, speaking of Cosmic Heroes, unfortunately, no choice on Lilandra. So this has been definitely a big bottleneck for a lot of folks using the skill gear up until this point, because if you're waiting on the Lilandra, it's very frustrating that obviously they required her, so we don't have any pivot space there. Now, I actually did very well on some leaderboard events for Mystic Gear, so that's how I was able to afford all this extra Mystic power in my actual roster. So Odin, if you bring in Odin, it doesn't matter who the other 3 characters are, guys. So that's a pro tip right there. If you're just trying to figure out and trying to get to the finish line here for Professor Xavier at the end of Age of X, bring in Odin and you're just trying to min-max, well, you don't necessarily need any other 3 characters. You can use cheap options like Photon, Doctor Strange, so forth, and get the job done. Having said that, I wanted to be mindful of the meta. We know Quasar was obviously one of the best characters right now in War, and given the recent Chapter 1, he just has so much value right now across the board. And then personally, all that bio gear I saved from not using in the past sections now were funneled into Invisible Women as well as Franklin Richards, and this was such an easy section for me, guys. Mind you, some of them died along the way, but for the last final section here, it does not matter if you get the 3 stars completion or not, because it's the last and final node that you need to complete to actually beat Professor Xavier to ultimately unlock him, guys. So hopefully this helps you. These are all the teams I used. Again, I'm working through the gameplay and editing the videos that will be out. I think I have up until Global Heroes actually released, but I'll link everything down below and edit this video later on, guys. Hope this helps you out. Hope this is able to give you guys some insight on what works, what didn't, regrets that I made along the way, in addition to helping you save time as you guys progress further into Age of X. Do let me know what other teams that work for you guys as well. I'm always curious. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.